Hey you guys,
Hey guys.
Sean and Allison here from Spoken Garden, and today we're taking questions from you guys. This is gonna be so much fun today.
Yeah, we've got 3 questions from you guys over the last about month or so. And so one of them's gonna be about cutting back common yarrow. One of them's gonna be about mulching around perennials, specifically Shasta daisies. And then the third one's gonna be about pruning English lavender.
And go ahead and feel free to go down in the description and check the timestamps if you wanna skip ahead to the specific question you might need help with as well. Yeah. So with that, let's get started.
Let's do this. So guys, our first question comes from Kaz from Northern Ireland. Thank you, Kaz, for putting your question down below on our Campanula bellflower plant chat video. So Kaz, you wanted to know what plants will benefit from mulch. Are there specific plants that benefit from it and some don't? So the answer is really pretty much all plants will benefit from mulch. There might be a few out there that specifically the plant care needs, say, no mulching for any specific reason. You're just gonna have to do your homework on some specific plants, but most plants, especially in our climate, in zone 8B here in Washington State on the west side, in our climate, they thrive, all the perennials in our climate thrive with mulch around them, protecting the roots, insulating the soil, keeping that moisture down there. It's just a lot better for the plants overall, and especially like this mulch right here that we've got, this is arborist mulch. And so this is mulch, if you don't know, this is mulch that's actually chewed up from just local trees being cut down. And what we have here is, this is that mulch that's broken down a little bit here, but it's full of nutrients. It's full of all different kinds of soil building properties that are great for our soil around here, because our native soil is more of a clay soil, so that we need to build our soils around here in our gardens to be more nutrient. They need more nutrients, and they actually need to drain better. And a good way to do that is to add either compost or put mulch over the top. And over time, that mulch filters down into the soil and it builds a better soil structure for the plant roots to thrive in. Your plants will thrive a lot better in that soil. Now you'll see on the screen here, we've got some pictures from our old house where we just moved out of and sold. So those pictures, they're showing you our actual Shasta daisies specifically, but all our other perennials around our yard. We saw after about 2 months of putting down mulch, our plants literally just started popping. They just looked fuller and brighter and healthier and greener, and they flowered more, and we didn't have to water as much. And this is all because we actually put down mulch on and around the soil around our plants. Now, Kaz, you had a second question. You're getting a twofer. So you had a second question. You said you're having trouble with your Shasta daisies and getting them established in your garden in Northern Ireland. And would mulch help you? If you put mulch around your Shasta daisies, would it actually help them to become established and thrive more? And I would say yes, it will, because it's going to help protect your roots from the cold, harsh climates that you have up there during the winter, the freezing temperatures. And also it's going to regulate and insulate those plant roots either during the cold winter months or the warm summer months, to actually regulate the soil temperature around your plant roots, your Shasta daisy roots, to help them optimally grow. So, and also if you use arborist mulch, you're actually going to build soil around and underneath your Shasta daisies, and they're just gonna love that. They're gonna love more nutrients. They're gonna love the better draining soil that it's gonna create. And so yes, put the mulch down around your Shasta daisies and they will do a lot better. So Kaz and anybody else out there watching this is how you want to mulch around your Shasta daisies. We've got some mulch here. I'm just gonna show you real quick. You don't want to put the mulch up against the stems, because that's bad. That'll actually promote disease and different kinds of insects to come in, and that'll hurt the plant. You don't want to do that. So just take your mulch. I've got some here. I'm just going to put it down in here, around it here. And what I'm going to do is you want to put it down 2 to 4 inches thick, probably no more than 4 inches, but get your mulch down here. Keep it at about 2 to 4 inches away from the base of your plants there, of the crown of those stems. But just go around and actually just put that mulch down in there and have it extend out. You can see in this bed, it's really tight right here with some of the growing points of these plants, you know, how they're growing into each other. And so you're not going to really see, you can't really see if I mulched in here what that would do. But the whole thing is mulch further out away from the roots of your Shasta daisy, And what's going to happen is it's going to build that soil a lot better on that side further out from the crown, and it's going to encourage the plant to actually grow further out, because the plant's its roots are going to find that. It's going to go, ooh, we like that. So they're going to keep growing into that further and further, and that means the crown will expand. And in about 1 to 2 months, Kaz, your Shasta daisies should actually look fuller, greener. They shouldn't have any discoloration or anything else going on with them. Really, they should look really, really healthy, and you shouldn't have to water them as much either. Kaz, thank you for your question, and I hope we answered it for you. And yeah, hope that helps. So our second question comes from Darlene Tasso from our video that talks about how to cut back crocosmia flowers. And so thank you, Darlene, for putting your question out there and asking us. It's a great question. And your question was, how do you cut back yarrow? So we weren't sure if you were asking when to cut it back when it's actively growing, or when to cut it back after it's done flowering, or actually when it's dormant. So we wanted to cover all of those right here in this video to hopefully answer your question, and hopefully it does. So basically, you can see right here, we've got our actively growing yarrow right here. It's mixed in this container with this coneflower. This is one of our most favorite coneflowers, this Cheyenne Spirit. And so here are our yarrow, and you can see it's growing all the way around. There's a lot more of it behind me here, or behind the plant here, in front of me, but behind the plant here. And so it's kind of getting a little rangy. We didn't expect that. And so under these conditions, these growing conditions, it actually grew, and it's outgrowing pretty much the coneflowers here. So what we want to do is get that under control so we can accentuate the coneflowers and have that as the focal point of this container, not have it mixed in with these yarrows. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these back. So what I'm going to use to cut these back are my hand pruners, and these are Corona classic cuts. A link will be down below. We love Corona. If you watched any of our other videos, you know that we love Corona. So I'm going to cut back this actively growing yarrow. So let's get in here and let's show you some biology of the plant itself before we actually make those cuts, because you need to know what you're doing before you do it. All right, guys, so here is a common yarrow stem. We've got our leaf here. We've got an actively growing bud, and at the top, maybe you can see that there's an actual flower, and it's flowering. It looks beautiful, right? Well, this is one of the stems. It's a little rangy. It's actually right at the same level as some of these coneflower flowers, and so we want to cut this back so this actually grows back with the flower, but it's shorter and it's not as rangy. So what we're going to do is we're going to follow this stem down, and we're going to actually look for some actively growing buds. And you can see here's one right here. So here's the old leaf, if I can do this. Here's the old leaf, and that's been there since early this spring. Then we've got this bud that broke down here probably a couple weeks ago, and it's actively growing a new shoot and actually new leaves right here. These two little leaves right here are new. And so over time, this flower above will desiccate, it'll die, it'll wither, go away. From this point and all these other points up here, new stems will actually start to grow, and at the tip of those stems, new flowers will develop into the late summer and early fall. So what we can do is we can speed this whole process up and cut probably down to about here on this stem. And what's going to happen is we're going to lose that flower on the top of this stem and all the other stems we cut, but we're going to encourage this plant to start growing from here with a new stem and a new terminal flower from that stem. So that's what we're going to actually go for around this whole container on all these large and stretched out stems of this yarrow. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my hand pruners, I'm going to come down this stem, and I'm going to follow it down to where this bud is that I want to encourage to actually grow the new stem and flower from later on this late summer and early fall. And I'm going to take my hand pruners, I'm going to place this, open them up and place it around the stem just above that growing point, and then I'm just going to clip it. And I'm going to take that away. So here's the stem that I just cut away. Here's that actively growing point. You can see where I made my cut just above that. Now what I expect to have happen is this actively growing yarrow plant to grow a new stem, new flower from here, and it should come up and it should be shorter than the coneflower in the center of this pot. So I'm just going to repeat this around the whole plant, and that's how we're going to actively prune back this common yarrow right now in the middle of summer. So Darlene, if you want to know how to cut back a dormant yarrow plant, this is how you would do it. You would wait till the flowers that we just cut, if they were still on these stems, you would wait for them to wither. You would wait for the plant to just actually go dormant and die back. You could deadhead the plant like I actually just cut it just before when it was actively growing, but instead all these stems will be dying back in this late fall and in the winter. Leave part of these stems and then you'll have some habitat for different kinds of critters out in your garden. Maybe you'll want to do that, maybe you won't. If you do, that's what you do. Now, if you don't want to do that, go ahead and follow these stems all the way down to where they originate from at the crown of the plant. Cut them all the way off, but cut them and leave, when you cut them, leave about maybe 1 to 2 inches of that stem from the base of the plant up. Just leave that, it's not going to hurt anything. So you can remove all those and then wait for the new growth and the new flush growth to come in the springtime in the next year. You can also, if you want to, leave the whole plant over the whole winter. It's not going to hurt anything. And if that's okay with you, yeah, that's pretty much the easiest thing to do. Then in the spring, when you see that new flush of green growth, all these green leaves start pushing through and coming up at the base of the plant, then you'll know that the yarrow is actively growing, and you can come in and cut these stems all the way down to the base of the plant, the crown of the plant, and then you'll get all that new flush of growth in the springtime, and then you're done. And so that's how you cut back a common yarrow when it's actually either actively growing or when it's either going into dormancy or it is dormant into the new spring growing season. So we hope that helps you, Darlene, and anybody else out there wondering how to cut back their yarrow. So our last question is from Babs Phillips, and Babs, you asked your question on our video about cutting back lavender plants, English lavender. And so what do we have in front of us here? We've got some English lavender plants, and we've got a Spanish lavender behind here. You might be able to see it, but these are all our cuttings, just for your own information. Look how big they got. Now, all of these plants started out about, maybe 4 to 6 inch long twigs or stems that we took as stem cuttings. And these are a little over 2 years old now. And look how much they've grown. Aren't they cool? This is so much fun. All right, Babs, so you wanted to ask us and get our opinion on why your plants are actually holding the same form as when you pruned them back in 2021, because in 2022, this spring, you didn't prune them back. You said so in your comment. So you want to know, why are they keeping the same shape and form when you didn't prune them this spring? And so there's a couple things that come into that, Babs, talking about pruning and why plants hold the same form that they do. One of the things is that for this specific plant, for lavender, for English lavender, they actually, if they're planted in the correct place, which is full sun, well-draining soil, and not kept really moist, not watered a lot, they have a drying point between when they're actually watered, that's where they thrive. And so they won't get too bushy over time, even from year to year. They'll hold that compact form, especially if you gave them a really nice prune the year before. So that's one thing to consider, is that you're growing them correctly and they're holding that form because you are growing them correctly. They're not going to stretch with too much water and not enough light. So that's one fact. The other thing that could be going on here is that when you pruned it, you might have pruned it maybe about halfway and gave it a good pruning, like really brought it in and tight. And some plants, and lavender's one of them, if you're growing it under the right conditions and you give it kind of that prune where you cut off about half, let's say half of this plant, and you might have done the same thing roundabout. If you did that, lavender's one of those plants where you could skip a year actually pruning it and it'll still hold that tight form. It'll still hold that form that you wanted to have in years past. So I think with those two things, that's probably what could be going on with your lavender. So I hope that explains some things and helps you understand that.
Okay, you guys, so that is all the questions from you guys. There are so many more, and we can't wait to do some more videos in the future.
Yep, we're going to put in some time. We're going to get to your questions. So just, if we haven't answered your questions yet, just hold on. We'll get to you.
I know, and sorry about we had a little microphone issue where my microphone actually stopped working, so I wasn't really in the video.
Yeah, bad batteries.
I was behind the camera the whole time. But So we hope those were helpful and they helped answer your questions. Sean, you did a great job, as usual, in my opinion, of course.
Thank you.
But yeah, so that was it for today.
Yeah, you know what? If you have any other questions you want to know about what we talked about here today, or other general gardening questions, let us know down below. We love hearing from you guys. And make sure to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, so you get updates on our latest garden videos.
Yep, and that's a wrap for today. So thank you for being here and for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.
Yep, bye-bye.
Bye, guys.